Now on BBC One at 9:30, News and Sport with Peter Sissons and Rob Bonnet.
America, Russia and Europe respond to the Bosnian Serb rejection of their peace plan by tightening sanctions. But on the streets of Sarajevo, the Serbs give their answer. The snipers are back. Relieving the suffering of Rwanda, Britain will send more than 600 troops. And cash for questions. The press watchdog clears the Sunday Times subterfuge, but it may have brought privacy laws closer. Good evening. Foreign ministers from the United States, Russia and Europe are to seek tighter sanctions against Serbia, following the rejection by the Bosnian Serbs of the latest peace plan for Bosnia. But the ministers of the so-called contact group stopped short of approving punitive military action, and there was disagreement between the Americans and Russians over whether the arms embargo against the Muslims should be lifted. In a joint declaration, they agreed to call on the United Nations Security Council to tighten existing sanctions on oil and trade, and to call for tougher enforcement and the extension of the safe areas in Bosnia. From Geneva, Brian Hanrahan reports.
The ministers know that the Serbs' rejection of their peace plan is unlikely to be changed by the modest package of punishments they're proposing. But it was as far as they could go without causing serious disagreement. The United States believes it's just a symbolic first step, which will soon have to lead to lifting the arms embargo against the Muslims.
If this phased approach to the increased pressure on the Serbs was not successful, the United States would be under very strong, irresistible pressure to lift the arms embargo, as we have said at prior meetings. We are not prepared to see this process strung out indefinitely.
But the hint that the United States might ignore the UN resolution imposing the arms embargo was too much for the Russian Foreign Minister, Mr. Kozyrev. There were hotheads in the Russian parliament too, he said, who would want to lift sanctions against Serbia. And he reminded everyone that great power disagreements in the Balkans led to the First World War. Britain and France too are dragging their heels over lifting the arms embargo, fearing the consequences.
Well, the danger of lifting the arms embargo is that the war would reignite, and that the gains we've made, particularly those with troops on the ground, would be thrown away. That is a danger. On the other hand, if you look at the position realistically, you see, as we, the French and the Russians have admitted, that the lifting of the arms embargo might become unavoidable, with the consequences for the UN forces, which are well known.
Unavoidable because the Americans will just break it if you don't agree to lift it?
No, I think the Americans would favour multilateral lifting, but there become a stage where the arms embargo could not be maintained against anybody.
Round the table today, the ministers put maintaining unity high on their agenda, but that lowered the level of what they could achieve. For the moment, the Russians have gone as far as